Youngstown Business Incubator, but she is also a co-business owner with her husband of a long-standing, now considered non-essential business called Ryan's Chair. So, Steph, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I want you to give everybody sort of your perspective as a business owner, not only as a business owner, but also as a business counselor. But let's start with your perspective as a business owner in terms of where we're at currently and how your business has been effective.
Wow. So yes, Ryan's Chair, as you stated, Corey, has been a pillar in the community for over 20 years. And to one day hear the words, "You have to close," and not because of something you've done, but because of a virus that is become so deadly, and especially within our African American community, you definitely just get stumped and like, okay, so no cutting hair, no business, my clients, what's going to happen? So your first reaction is panic mode, because now what you're used to doing and the money you're making is no longer coming in like it used to.
Right.
So that's when the save money for rainy days or live beneath your means really kicks into action for you. So for us, it wasn't just my husband, but our concern was all the stylists that depend on coming into Ryan's Chair to make money every day and how that would impact them. So of course, when you look at your staff and the impact it has on them, it really is heartbreaking, and it really is it's challenging. It's challenging, and it takes you a minute to regroup.
And Ryan's Chair has quite a few people that work out of there, not including your husband, correct?
Correct. We have like 10 folks in there right now. And they were booming and doing well and developing clientele. And then to come to this halt was just kind of crazy. And especially right before one of our biggest holidays, which is Easter. Everyone goes to church on Easter Sunday. So you get Easter week. It's just so many things coming up, prom season. So there's so many things that impact the business that it really was a hit to the gut for us.
So your first initial reaction was obviously like, oh my God, what are we going to do? What was one of the first things that you did to sort of walk through it and handle this?
Definitely. My husband and I had to sit down and just figure out first, making sure it was a lot of conversation with the staff, making sure they were okay. Of course, making sure they knew that when they come back, whatever we could do to help, we're here to help. Making sure that they weren't concerned about, oh my God, how I'm still keep up this space while I'm not working, which of course we're not having. They're good. So it was definitely, I think our concern was that. And then the second concern was my husband's really concerned because he has some clients that are so hilarious that, like, unless he touches their hair, they're not doing anything. And one who we love in particular, and I'm gonna give him a shout out, Pastor Mac. Pastor Mac has been a client. He's family at this point. He's been with us so long. Like, he was like, Ryan, I never shaved before. Like, what am I going to do? Like, you're not shaving me. And so those clients, we were just like, oh my gosh, like, what are they going to do? So one of the first reactions my husband did was he did a message to them, a live message to his clients. That started saying hashtag wear a hat till I come back. That's the saying we started saying to everybody, right? I don't have mine on today.
I kept this right here because my afro is popping out and I need a haircut so badly. So I'm wearing the hat as well.
I know. And one of our clients even took it upon himself and shaved his head. We were like, what did you do? He's like, I just couldn't take it. So that was something that we had to do, was just make sure we're in constant communication with a lot of our clients and just making sure that they're okay. And then doing the segment with WFMJ with Elena was something that we just felt when she asked, we had to definitely do that. So we just had that communication with the clients.
Sure. So one of the things that I like about the message that you guys put together was wear a hat till I come back. What was the, I guess, the thought process behind coming up with something so clever? And what's the importance of having a message like that, do you think?
Because the hat, it reminds you that you have a barber that's great and thinking of you, and that your barber does not want you going to any drastic measures for your hair until he can lay hands on it. Because God knows when we all come back to work and all the stylists come back, I can only imagine the overflow and the damage. Let's talk about damage that's probably been done from people trying to do their own hair. So for him, my husband was just sitting there and literally just flowing from his heart, talking to the clients, was just like, just wear a hat till I come back. Like, this is not forever. I will be back. So just throw that hat on and make it work.
Right. So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about your perspective as a business counselor. So part of what you do, obviously, with YBI is you work with a lot of our women entrepreneurs, and a lot of those companies that we see come through the doors technically at this point are probably considered non-essential. If they have a physical space, it's most likely closed. And I think we see not only a lot of the beauty industry, but we also see a lot of the consumer packaged goods that might have to shut their retail doors. So talk to me a little bit about what you're hearing and what you're seeing with your clients through YBI, and then just some words of wisdom for them.
Well, definitely. So the thing with a lot of the clients from YBI, especially with the We program in particular, we just finished our We Create class, right? So we had 9 businesses, women-owned businesses, that came to us expecting that they were going to go to the next season of their life with their business. So for me, as a business mentor, counselor, whatever you want to call it, owner, my biggest thing was, what can you do right now to seize this moment and take an opportunity that's being presented? This is a great time to rebrand and rebuild yourself. So my husband and I have had a lot of conversations. So actually, we just started a whole new entity, of course, because you know me, I'm always bored with 50,000 things to do, right? But I just started a new entity called SIR, which is Stephanie, Ian, Ryan, and Ryan, right? So SIR Enterprises. And how can we now take SIR Enterprises and take what we have for Ryan Share is great. But now let's extend ourselves to products, and let's extend ourselves to some other things in the industry. And this is that time that I would encourage entrepreneurs to do the same. Is solving a pain point. This is a good time to see everyone couldn't go out. So whether it's creating a product or service, that if we ever come to this place again, are you ready? And what can you offer the community and beyond the world? Because right now you can service the world with this pandemic going on. So it's just seizing the moment and taking opportunities as they come.
Absolutely. And I think that that's a really great point. I know myself included, I'm also sitting here with a million things to do, but I'm also thinking about what happens, you know, in the future. What if something happens and I'm heavily involved in the nonprofit industry? What happens if, you know, we can't fundraise for the next year, or
right?
The industries that I'm involved with, I definitely feel that. So sort of finding your next venture, or coming up with something that, you know, can be easily pivoted. And I think that's something that's really important to share. When I was on with Carmela last week, you know, we talked about the same thing. And how do you pivot in order to stay relevant? I think having a great marketing message like what you've developed with Ryan's Share is exactly that. So talk to me a little bit more about what's some easy tips, step by step, some things that people can, you know, or should consider to pivot or redevelop or start that new venture.
So I think definitely just taking a moment and figuring out what is it that you love to do, and how can you turn that into a business, right? Or taking what you're already doing and how can I create a new product or service, or even enter a new market during this time. So it's just developing yourself and your thought to extend it to where now you come out, when this is all over, you'll come out not behind, but ahead of the game. So I think this is a great time for entrepreneurs to be able to do that. Definitely offer a new product, service. Think about what you can do. think about what you're good at and how you could build on that. What competencies do you have already as a business? What are your strong points as a business and a team? And then what can you do to build off of that? And I think definitely making sure that whatever you do brings a profit,
Absolutely.
because none of us want to go through this again,
Absolutely.
especially where you have to depend on your government to who runs out of money. But thank God they're coming up with something else, right? You run out of money, what? But just making sure that you're ready and you're never put in a position where you're not ready, be ready so you ain't got to get ready. That's the saying. So look, just always be ready.
Absolutely. So as a small business owner with Ryan's Chair, is there any softwares, is there any tools that you guys used either beforehand that sort of helped you brace for this, or anything that you started to use as a result of this? We hear often that a lot of our small business owners sort of just fly by the seat of their pants and don't even have, a general budget. What are some things that you guys use that you found helpful or are starting to use?
I think for us, definitely, because my husband and I are a little older in the game at this point.
Yeah.
So surrounding ourselves with young folks who are more tech savvy and can create certain things for us, platforms to discuss and to remain relevant. So right now, our best friend is social media. I think that just being able to do conversations, just stay in touch with your clients through social media is important right through here. And that's really the only platform that we've used just to remain in the sight of our clients and our customers and those in our community.
Sure. And social media, I mean, we preach it with every client that we see. With me especially, you don't even have to really put a ton of money behind it, which is great.
Right.
If you have that following, which Ryan's Share has that following, and everybody in the community knows it. If you have that following and let them know that this is out there, it's a great resource to have.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit more about the Women in Entrepreneurship Program. I'm looking at the people that are watching this, and we've got quite a few women on here that I think some of them are entrepreneurs, and I know some of them are. So talk to me a little bit about what you do with We, what we've got coming up with We, and even let's talk about the last We Create cohort, because I think right now is an especially challenging time for people who are just wanting to start a business or had previously started it a couple months ago before all of this happened.
Right.
So let's talk about what we're seeing there.
Definitely. So even with the We Create, as I stated, there were some phenomenal women that walked through the doors of YBI and have since we started the We program. It's nothing but phenomenal women that we've come in contact with, right? So my words of wisdom and encouragement for them has been, because I've been in conversation with a few through this process, and it's just making sure they stay confident, making sure we keep them motivated to want to continue in this venture. So for me, again, it's just telling them, perfect your gift, perfect your business idea. This is the perfect time to do that. This is that downtime where you could get all your paperwork and ducks in a row. So that was my wisdom to them, and I want to continue to keep that. And as you stated, coming up, we just had the conversation that we want to continue because we still get women reaching out about what's next. And so what's next for us is definitely the We Launch class, which will be that 10-week course, and we'll do it online. Since things have changed, we'll do it online this summer, but we'll definitely do the We Launch, and that will help the women, again, making sure that I think we'll change our focus a little bit more for this next We Launch cohort because of what we just experienced, to make sure everyone is ready and everyone has everything they need, so that they can always stay prepared and ahead of the game. So the We program to me has always been that great village of support. It has always been that place where women who have ideas and just need to have the support that they will not get anywhere else, they can find with our program, and they can find at the YBI. So definitely I'm excited for We Launch, and I think it's going to be a phenomenal program this summer.
Yeah, it always turns out to be, a really great experience for the women that go through it. And I think a lot of that has to do with just the different people that we bring into. You have a ton to do with that yourself, but I think it's nice that we really give sort of a well-rounded experience, and we don't just preach everything ourselves. We like to bring in, experts from the community. So I want to take a moment just to let everybody know, if anybody's watching that has questions, feel free to drop those in the comments. Pick Stephanie's brain.
Caroline. Hi, Caroline. Hi, Barb. And hey, Andrea.
Yeah, this is a great time to really pick Stephanie's brain, because she is quite busy and she's really hard to pin down sometimes. So we're lucky to have gotten her throughout the day, right on her lunch hour. So let's talk a little bit looking forward. And if those of you who joined in late, Stephanie Gilchrist with YBI and also co-owner of Ryan's Chair, which is a non-essential business that's been affected by this whole COVID crisis. So let's talk a little bit about your perspective moving forward, and what do you think will be the next step for non-essential businesses, and sort of how will a non-essential business change once we can resume as normal?
That's so crazy, because we talk about that, like none of us will be the same after this, right?
No.
And non-essential businesses, especially like the barber and beauty salon, it definitely will be that place of like, okay, so because you have to touch them and you have to be so close, right? So now it's like, you can't wear a mask and cut your hair. I don't want to massage me with gloves on.
Right.
So, it's just thinking of those things. So again, this is a time where we really had to think of how we can serve our customers without being present. So without the physical touch, like, is it creating the product line and having me do a tutorial with our customers, right? So that if I'm not here, is it teaching classes that if I'm not here, this is what you should do, and do the hands-on experiment while we have this moment together? Because God only knows if COVID will come back again once it's lifted and we could go out. So it's just those things like, what do we do next? And for us, it's been the thing of making sure we're present in the lives of our customers, even when we're not physically present with them, if that makes sense. Absolutely. So that is something that we're definitely trying to figure out, that how we can continue to do that. And it is through the platform of social media, again, doing the tutorials and doing the product lines, and just coming up with some phenomenal things, even beyond products that my husband and I have been discussing, going a little bit deeper in the industry. So
cool. So we got a question from Barb. Barb is asking, do you have any thoughts on what kind of businesses are going to be in the best position to grow?
I'm going to say, I feel definitely any service business, whether it's transportation. I think right now, food, markets, fresh food markets would be great. Advanced manufacturing right now, we see is stepping up the game when it comes to developing the PPE for the folks in the medical industry. I think those are the dynamics, medical, anything that you see right now that America is struggling with or the world is struggling with, you take that opportunity and study it and figure out how you can make it better. So I think definitely certain industries can thrive, because right now I'm not going to the store. Instacart's my best friend, right? Instacart, I mean, I went to the store the other day and was like, dang, I should use Instacart, because I'm in there with gloves and everybody's looking scary. But those type of things, you just think about those businesses that can really impact our future, software, all of that good stuff. Digital. Yeah.
It's so interesting, and it's a crazy dynamic that we live in. And it almost makes me realize or think about, before all this happened, were we really like that gross of people beforehand? Like, did we really not? Like, I feel like I sanitized every hour on the hour. Now it's like, ooh, I didn't do this before. What's going on?
I know, right? You say COVID-19, I have a pump next to me. You just say it, and I'm pumping, like putting sanitizer on my hands, right?
Yeah.
Because it's even interesting, like the wine industry now. That's what they're doing, creating sanitizer. I mean, everybody's creating hand sanitizer now. Who would have thought Purell would have been sold out, or toilet paper, for Pete's sake? Like, what the world? It's just amazing how our focus changed as Americans. You know what I mean? Like, we're not shopping for the non-essentials, the clothes, the shoes, and all of that, or the handbags. Corey and I, we're not shopping like that anymore. But what we are doing now is, like, every time I get a chance, I'm walking down that aisle to see, is there extra roll of toilet paper on the shelf, or is there some sanitizer? So those things have changed, and the way we as Americans look at things, I think, has changed. So good time for people to focus on what now is a new market and a new niche.
Yeah, and one of the other things too that I think is an interesting point to bring up. So you're a small business owner who's been in the community for 20 plus years, and at that point, you're really a staple in the community. And one of the things that I've sort of been seeing or hearing through the grapevine is that we have some small businesses that have popped up within the community that are sort of trying to help navigate the eggs that are not on the shelves, and the milk that's been sold out, and the toilet paper that's been sold out, and the hand sanitizer, people are making it now. And I think there's one thing that's sort of interesting. I know a lot of people are worried about finances during all of this.
Of course,
and I've been hearing that people are almost upset at the fact that small businesses are sort of trying to step in and say, hey, we have these items, but they're more expensive than the typical big box store. How important to you is it to be a small business and sort of either fill that need or to support a small business, even though the price might be higher?
So I'm the wrong one to ask that question, because I believe in supporting local, and I've tried to do that, especially right through here. But I think it is also important that to remain relevant after, or to remain relevant even during, you have to consider that everyone's struggling with money. Like, no one wants to spend a lot of money because we don't know what's coming next, right? Like, for us as non-essentials and as barbershop beauty salons, getting unemployment, getting the PPP, all of that that's offered to small businesses, we've been forgotten. And so our industry, we make money based on clients that come through the door. So if that's not happening, then I can't afford to pay $10 for hand sanitizer. That's just ridiculous. I mean, you have to consider that even as a small business, we get you need it, but be considerate of your market, and be considerate, be sensitive, because that's a turnoff.
And I think that that's an important point. I think that as a small business, you have this opportunity, and you should take the opportunity if it's appropriate, but you still need to be, realistic in who is going to buy it and who your target is. And I think that's an important point to make, is that, to some people, it might be considered price gouging, and at some point it really is, but you have to really consider, who the market is, who your customer is. And this is a great example of, consider pivoting and consider who your next market's going to be, and redevelop that sales cycle. And what does that look like? And how does it affect your customer acquisition costs? I know that's something else that we always talk about with our clients. So it's a really interesting moment to be in.
And sometimes I think that we forget the marketing 101, the jab, hook. Like, sometimes you have to do a jab, then you hook them. So it's not always about the money. It's sometimes just about, let me get my brand out there. I show I care. And then I can hook them and pay, and they'll pay me $10 because they know I care. So I think that, and then also businesses have to consider too, instead of charging me $10 a bottle, the person who can't hardly pay their bills right through here, then let's consider business to business, right? So why don't you go to a big box company or someone and sell your product to them for a certain price? And then that way it doesn't impact us, the little folks, and hurt us as much. So I think sometimes people forget that principle of, you can do business to business, and that is go to the big box folks or to the corporations and sell your product.
Absolutely. So let's talk about marketing, because you
Yeah.
bring up marketing again. And I know that Ryan's Chair is doing a lot with social media to sort of keep that relevancy amongst his client base and your client base. What are some things that you've done specifically regarding social media, and some tips that you have for small businesses to really build that following?
I think for sure, definitely, and putting on the other hat for the organization that beyond Ryan's Chair, but the other organization that I'm responsible for here in Youngstown, we do a lot of posting throwback pictures, just showing that oh, we're missing them, just really putting our heart on our sleeves,
Yeah,
and just showing that we really do care and can't wait to get back. So I think it's definitely sharing that message of hope that we will be back. But in the meantime, let's look back at what we've done and where we've been, and let's just take a journey and reminisce a little bit
yeah,
until we can create those new memories together. So I think that's important in your social media approach. It's just going through and creating new memories, but also going back and remembering the old.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
for those who don't know, that organization is called Inspiring Minds Youngstown, which is doing some really great things within the community. And I think that that's another. I always get sidetracked on these other ideas, but that's another great thing to talk about. So, nonprofit industry is a small business as well, for the most
Yes.
part, and an organization like I am, you're servicing a really important market of the underserved and underprivileged youth within the city.
Mhm.
So, as a small business owner, I think that that's also important to say, yes, I'm struggling through all of this, but I think it's important to your clients to show that you have a heart and that you're a real person behind this business of how can I still support,
Mm-hmm.
nonprofits in the area, or how can I support um, some sort of group of people that really need something a little bit more than I do. And
Absolutely.
I've seen a lot of small businesses sort of do that and give back in some way. So, what are some things that you would say to a small business owner who is struggling through all this but is still considering, giving back in some way?
So we actually are experiencing that right now at Inspire Minds Youngstown. Caroline's on here, but Yo Fresh has been that for us. The Bella Subs next week they were like, we're going to feed all your families, give you like a full meal, dessert, everything.
Wow.
So I think that is important that we're doing the hashtag We Are Still I Am. We are
Mhm.
still here, meaning that our kids still need us. And just because there's a pandemic doesn't mean that we stop
Yeah.
doing the work. So I think it's important that you tie them to the earth and you tie them to nonprofits or small businesses, whatever it may be, because they need your help. They need still our support. It doesn't go away. If anything, they need us more now than they did before this.
For sure.
So making sure every week that even with Ryan's Chair, we were selling those hats, hashtag wear hat till we come back. Proceeds of that, we were sewing into Inspiring Minds of Youngstown to make sure that we were still able to do incentive for our students, keep them motivated to do their schoolwork and not to fall back academically. So I think it's important that when you're doing a work as an entrepreneur, it's not about you. If it's just about you, then I'm concerned and I don't want to really do business with you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we are all responsible for each other, and it shouldn't be just in these times, but all the time. We have to be accountable for our neighbors. So.
Absolutely. I think that's something that I like to tell all of our entrepreneurs is that, at the end of the day, a profit is a profit, and it's important to not lose money on a venture. But at the end of the day, as a customer, I want to know that there's a real person behind the business, and I want to know that there's a heart behind the business. And I think that that's something that comes through, especially your marketing, and especially, all the things that you're doing in terms of outreach. It's important to really share that with the general public and who you're trying to get
For
in front of.
sure. For sure. Absolutely. We love to post our pictures of our seniors and especially our seniors who are struggling. You know, this is 2020. They were supposed to graduate, no prom. You know, we had big plans for our seniors, and all of that came to a halt. And so a lot of them are struggling even mentally. You know, anxiety real bad. And so what we've been doing is just focusing, okay, so let's just focus on college. Like, let's talk about what's going to happen your first day of college. What do we need? Let's, you know, get them hype about what's coming next. And so for us, that is the thing that I feel is important too, that during this time as a business owner, focus on the next and let's focus on what's coming. Like, let's get hyped about, oh, when I come back, it's going to be greater than it was before. Let's just focus on getting our clients excited about what is to come, so they don't dread too much about what's going on now.
Absolutely. So let's take this one step further, and let's talk about new businesses, because I think right now, you know, we've talked about this before. The last big economic issue in 2008 was a great turning point for a lot of companies to get started, and a lot of big companies have come out of that. You look at Uber, Airbnb, just to name a couple. You know, those were two companies out of many that started after that, and we'll look at where they are now. So
but listen, Corey, and what's crazy about those two is that they don't even have their own flipping product. They were using other people's stuff to make money. And that, like, Amazon doesn't have a product. They sell other people's product, right? I mean, come on. So it's just crazy that all you need is a car. All you need is somebody to agree to let me have your property for the weekend, right? And let me rent it out. And so I think that for new businesses, that's how you have to think.
Exactly.
Out of the box, be creative, right? I don't have to make the phone, but what can I do to use your phone that you already paid $400, $500 for this iPhone, and let me get busy on creating something that you will use, and I'll get a check. So I think that being creative and thinking out of the box is so, and this is such the perfect time, like, to do that. That's just it.
So let's take this one step further and give us, you know, from the We Create point of view, because We Create is what, 4 or 5 weeks. And it's exactly this. It is, how do you take just an idea that you wrote down on a napkin and turn it into a venture? So give us We Create in a couple sentences or a couple tips or a couple minutes. And let's focus on the people who might have an idea, or the unfortunate ones who unfortunately are sitting at home, who might have been laid off, and now they're thinking, what do I do next? Might not be a great time for you, you think, but it is a good time to consider starting a business. So let's talk about those people that, you know, are sitting at home and might have an idea. What's the first thing that I need to do if I have an idea, want some advice? What do I need to do?
I say first thing to do is research what you're thinking. Google what you're thinking. See if it's out there already. And if it is, great. You already know there's a market for it. Let's get going. And how can I perfect it, right? So I think that is the first step, is that when you have an idea, research your idea online. See what comes up. And then if you see it, great. If you don't, then you know you have some work to do, and you got to dig deeper in your research, not with your mom and dad and your family. Like, market research, you know how we go at YBI, Gianna, market research 101. You got to dig deeper into strangers and find out if it's viable, if it's profitable, if it's a good idea. And if it is, then the next step, I believe, for you is you go online, get that business model canvas, and start writing it out.
Yeah. And I think it's important to add just one point to add to that. If you're researching it and you see it, that doesn't mean you need to stop.
Right.
I'm a firm believer that if you're researching and you see it out there already and it exists, don't get discouraged. How can you make it better?
Absolutely.
How can you take it one step further? And that's something that we talk about too.
But listen, and the prime example is this. Like, we're in the barbershop and beauty salon industry, right? There's one on every corner in America, basically, you know what I mean? But yet we still keep seeing new ones open, right? Because that's a market that never died. Everyone needs to be serviced through a salon or a barbershop, right? As long as you keep making babies, we're going to be in business. Thank you, people. Thank you, America. Thank you, nation. Thank you, world. So I think that is the thing, is that even like you said, if you see it, it's okay. To me, I'm like, dang, it's already out there. Good. Let me see what you're doing as a competitor, and let me see how I can make it better. So they already did the groundwork for you,
Yeah,
and plus market research. There's a market out there. Great. Figure it out.
absolutely. So do some research, move on to the business model canvas. Now talk a
Yeah.
little bit more about the business model canvas. What does it do for people in terms of getting their idea on paper?
Let me just be real with you, because a lot of times, you know, how it is when we have to go through business plans and read them and score them and all of that, right? That is like, oh, do we have, how many pages is that? And
Mhm.
I've come to, when sitting on committees and boards and being around bankers, I think we all have that same feeling, like another business plan, great, another book, open page 250. I think the business model canvas should be the new business plan, to be real with you, because
Yeah.
it's so lean. It gets straight to the point. Who is your customer? How are you going to reach your customer? Like, what is your value? Give me your value statement. What makes you, which is your elevator pitch, right? Who are your resources? What do you need to make this happen? How much money do you need? What is the cost to make it work? What will you charge your clients so you can make money and be profitable? So that is the business model canvas. Asking those questions on one little sheet of paper
Yep.
and bullet point it.
Yeah, and we've been using the business model canvas at YBI for years at this point.
Yes, yes.
And it really is. It takes everything and sort of simplifies it. And it's great at some point to take what you have on that canvas and expand upon it and really put some deep thought behind it. But even in just a short term, to get all your ideas out and who your potential market is going to be, it's interesting to see when you get it all on that canvas, how it doesn't make sense or what needs to be improved.
Yeah, yeah. And the good thing that I found with We Create, it never fails. And this is the beauty of the class that I just so love, is that I always have at least one come in with one idea. And when they leave, totally change their business model, totally change the business industry.
Right.
Because after sitting and going through it, it's like, and
Yeah.
you have to ask those questions. Is this really what you love? Because being an entrepreneur, you got to love it, because you're going to have those days where it gets rough and you want to give up and you don't have the money and you got to sacrifice your life, basically, and the life of those around you, from time, resources, all of that pulls from you. So you have to love it, right? To make it work.
So, and let's even just put a real life example behind it. And I think we have a really interesting one from the last We Create cohort that we just finished up.
Right.
You had an entrepreneur that came in and she was going to do like a boutique, a fashion boutique.
Sure did. Yep.
And she ended up doing what?
A group home for girls. Yeah.
Vastly different. And a prime example of the importance of this.
But then this is what was crazy, Corey, is she came in with the boutique idea, but as we began to learn each other, I was blown away that her degree, like she has a master's in this. And I'm like, girl, why didn't you think of this anyway? Because what her vision was not like a typical group home. Her vision was so much more impactful that I was sitting there like, what you need from me? How can I help you? What can we partner with? Do I need to get the state involved? Because I believed in her vision. And that's what happens when you get folks that are passionate about what they do. They sell you, and we just open up like, how can we help you make this happen? What can we do? Who can I introduce you to? How can we help? And I think that's what's important when you're starting a business idea. If you don't see other people leap with you for joy at the idea, then it's not a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. So what's the next step? So step 1, do some market research. Step 2 is business model canvas. What's next?
Next is just, so a lot of times in the class, what we do next is we always have someone who is an entrepreneur come in, like Carmela or someone in our community, to really talk about the life of entrepreneur, and they break it down. And I love when Carmela does it, because Carmela goes so in depth. That's that counselor in her, where she just goes in and talks about her experience, but she also breaks down what it cost her. and
Right.
how to figure those things out and if it's profitable before you move forward. And another thing we do, and thanks to the our girls in Columbus, our women in Columbus at the Secretary of State's office, they are a great resource at, okay, so next step is let's figure out, are you going to be LLC, for-profit,
Yep.
nonprofit? Let's figure out how to get you registered. What's the name you want to create? So we start working on names, and I would say all the women in our class last year, they are now registered with the state of Ohio. So they are legal to do business in the state of Ohio. Their names are registered. So they got that part done. And I do that intentionally because I want them to feel legit.
Mm-hmm.
That like puts a stamp on it, like, oh, I'm a legit business, right? And so they get hyped, and then they just keep going and keep going.
And a lot of people think that that's a really daunting process in order to be registered and legit with the state.
It's the easiest. It's 1, 2, 3, and you're done.
It's
right?
really simple. It's a
$99.
When I started my first business, the marketing company, I think I was registered with the state within like maybe a half hour, and that's because I kept getting like uninterested and walking away from my computer for something. So it's really simple. And even though it's so simple, it's so important. People don't realize the importance of actually being registered and being legit.
Yeah, for sure. And then that's what they do. And then once that class, and we have that discussion, and then we go into just understanding the steps of a business plan and making sure they understand what the model is and how to take that model and put it into a business plan. And then they present their business ideas to us. And I tell you what, they all say, I'm scared. I don't know what I'm going to say when I get up there. I don't know. And they get up there and rock it, and I'm just because they love it and they're passionate about it and they believe in it. And each and every one of them rock out that pitch. And I think that is the most beautiful thing. And then now my goal and my prayer, my hope for them is that they'll be ready for We Launch. You know what I mean? So now come to We Launch and let's dig deeper into what you need to do next.
Yeah. So one of the things that we talk about within We Create a little bit, and I know you go into it deeper in We Launch, is the importance of your brand and your image.
Yes.
I think that personally, I think that's super important for any business that is starting out, is to really put some thought behind your brand and what your image looks like and what your persona is. And I think that's so important, and it's something that doesn't necessarily get enough recognition. But that's from a marketing.
From you, I was going to say that's
yeah. So what's something that you always tell your girls in the class, about a brand and about an image?
I think that your branding, your image is your everything, right? How you present your product. You don't want to bring I remember a sitcom one time. Vanessa Huxtable brought in her boyfriend or her husband, and her family didn't accept it. And her father said, Cliff Huxtable says to Vanessa, it's not that we don't like him, we love him. It was how you brought him to us. You brought him like it was on a steak on trash can lid, and he had the lid in his hand. And I think that is the same when it comes to your business product, right? It's how you present it. Someone will look at your product and say, okay, and your brand. I think how you brand yourself through social media. If you want a certain audience, know who market. You got to know who your market is. And if your market is the professional woman or the professional man, you don't put something that's just crazy ratchet out there, right? You have to put something out there that is representative of the client that will draw their eye. So I think that your brand is your product and will make you or break you.
Yeah, absolutely. And a great example of someone who's come through the class, at least in my opinion, a couple cohorts ago, we had Dr. Lachelle Pugh with the Dr. Shell's.
I was just talking about her last night.
I never met her in my life, but I remember from going into Cultivate to pick up lunch one day, I remember looking at the shelves and seeing something about her mango salsa, but I never met her in person. When she came into the We class, I was like, you're the mango salsa lady. She's like, yeah, how'd you know? I said, I remember seeing your logo in a store. And it's something that, to me, having a brand and a logo and just the general marketing around her packaging, how important is that? I never met the woman, but I knew who she was because of her logo.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And that's how it should be. I mean, I should be able to identify, or if I don't know, because I think her face was on her logo, if I can remember, wasn't it like a picture of her?
Of her face. Yeah.
So for her but if I don't know you, and then you say, for instance, Culture House Coffee, your Culture House, I've seen your product because I love their bags and their brand, right? Carmela Marie, oh my God.
Culture House, not only with their logo and their brand, but a lot of something that they integrate within their social media that I've noticed is their building, because they have this really neat building on Elm Street that's just super cool. And the thing I always remember about Culture House is the teal door. Front door of their building. Anytime I drive down Elm Street, I'm like, there it is.
You know it.
And it's something that is a staple of their brand in addition to their logo. It's not the only thing that people know, but it's something that helps remember.
Absolutely. So you definitely, the brand, again, we just said it's your everything. It makes you or break you, period.
Absolutely. So we had a question come in, and I already know the answer to it. Our classes, the We classes, I know we're talking about moving We Launch up, and I know we don't have an exact date yet, but for anybody who's interested in We Launch, talk about what We Launch covers, and then maybe even just a potential month that you're thinking you might move that up to.
Sure. So the We Launch, we are looking to begin that class in the summer, probably mid-June is what I'm thinking, but I have to check with my bosses, Corey and Barb, before I make any final decisions. But the We Launch class will have, we have an awesome steering committee. And so on our committee for the We program, there are different genres and different professionals on that. So we have an attorney on there who already committed to teaching the legal class. So we do a legal class, so you can understand the liability of being a business owner and in depth with that. Also, we do the insurance, because a lot of people operate business without the proper insurance. And so if I didn't learn anything else between my two businesses, is that insurance is very important, and proper coverages too. So you definitely need to make sure that you have the coverage that you need for your industry, and that you're covering everything necessary. So then also we talk about financing your business. What opportunities are out there for you? So then when this stuff happens, like SBA and the SBA 7A and this, that, and other, you understand those opportunities, and you understand those loans that are available, and financing that are available to you. A lot of people are under the conception that or the pre-notion that grants are available to businesses. And that's a big fat no. I learned that the hard way. If you're a for-profit business, it's not for you. Grants, unless you're pitching an idea at a big conference and they're offering a prize, there are no grants that they just give you. So you definitely need to understand how to finance your business. Another thing that we talk about as well in there is social media and marketing, how to market and how to get your clients engaged. Because the goal of launch is you come in with a business plan. You're already registered with the state and you're ready to do business. You have a product and service already and ready to go. The purpose of launch is so that at the end of the class, you can go and sell your product to Walmart like a Marissa did, or to Target, or to any store or whoever of your choice, whether it's another business. So you want to be able to leave that class ready to sell your product, and everything you need is in place, from insurance to your legal team to everything. You are protected, you have everything you need, and you're ready to launch into the deep. So that's the purpose of that class. It's 10 weeks because we dig deep into a lot of things when it comes to marketing, market research, understanding your clients, and all of that great stuff.
And it's 10 weeks, but it's only 1 day a week. Let's
correct. It's 10 weeks, 1 day for 2 hours. I think
Couple
it
hours.
was
Yep.
2 hours. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you brought up a really interesting example of somebody who came through the class. So, Redhead Wine.
Yeah.
Everybody knows the brand. She came through the We Launch cohort. I think she already had her product, but I don't know if she was even selling it anywhere locally besides their place.
I don't think she was. She was working on getting it launched.
When she came into the program, she had the wine. She had an edition basically of her logo, but what she really needed was custom boxes. And I vividly remember her pitch. Her pitch was for she needed funding in order to get custom boxes, because anytime you have a wine and it's sitting in a store, it's not always on a shelf. You see cases of it sitting on the floor. Well, if you go in with these plain white boxes,
you're not going.
No, you ain't going anywhere. I remember her pitch to this day, because not only was it essentially perfected, I mean, her pitch was fantastic, but there was passion in it. And we talk about that with every client that comes through our doors. If you're not passionate about what you're doing yourself, it's hard to convey that to the general audience, to potential customers, to banks, to investors. It's hard to convey that if you're not passionate about it yourself. So another just great example of somebody who came in, went through our course, did what she needed to do, and look where she's at now. She's in 200 Walmart stores.
She is. And that's crazy, Corey, because this is the thing with Marissa too, and I always tell people this. There are, I don't know how many wines out there, right? So what made Marissa different? That brand and that presentation. So for instance, the Walmart opportunity, I sent out to everybody. That came to me, I sent it out.
Yep.
And I said, listen, this is a great opportunity. I just hit my lap. Go for it, go for it, go for it. But she was the one who, and I was so upset with a few of the women in the program, because I'm like, your product should have been in this. What happened? Yeah. And they were like, I wasn't ready. And that's what made us change and create, then go to launch, because I never wanted to have that experience again where only we have one benefit when there were so many great products. I want everyone to leave that class and be able to do what Marissa did. She took advantage of that opportunity. She worked her tail off and got into Walmart. And we were so I think we were just ecstatic when she gave us that news, because she always made sure she stayed in touch, updated us through this journey. So I think that is so important. Your presentation always should include what you're going to do when you're pitching. And if you're pitching for money, always share your vision for that money. I think that's very important, because we as investors love to hear what you're going to do with the money we give you. And then to see it happen, we'll always push for you to be successful. So,
yeah. So Andrea had just commented, do you have to apply for We Launch? So yes, Andrea, there is a application for We Launch. It's not live yet. We're planning to do We Launch. I think we just talked about it. We're going to move it up to, I think, earlier mid-June. So the application should be live sometime in early to mid-May. And if you go to ybi.org, under the Entrepreneurs tab, there's a page for the Women in Entrepreneurship Program, and you'll be able to find that application right there. Same thing. So for anybody else listening, any of our resources that are available to the community, we are a nonprofit. Our resources are 99% free to the community. So we have resources available on our website. We have resources available, obviously, through any of our business counselors. So if anybody is interested in joining our mailing list, we send out a newsletter with upcoming resources, upcoming events. So we send out a newsletter not so often. We're not in the business of spamming your inbox. I send them personally. I don't want to spam anybody because I get enough emails myself. But if anybody is interested in, just keeping in touch with us and learning what we have going on, send us a private message. Send me a private message, and I can put your email on our email list. So we've got a couple minutes left. I want to try and keep it right to an hour because I know some people are still working and got to go back to work after their lunch hour. So just finish it up, Steph, with just some words of wisdom for anybody who's listening, especially those who have an idea or are considering doing something during this time.
Yeah, I would definitely want to encourage all the folks out there who are entrepreneurs at heart. And I would put it to you this way. We were created to produce. We were created after the likeness of a creator. So sometimes you get frustrated because you have so many ideas that you're like, okay, I'm going crazy. I have so many that it's okay. It's normal. Your creator had created the earth in 7 days. And it was just, there's a lot that goes on in your mind and it's okay. The question is, the point is put order to your ideas. And follow the one that makes the most sense for you. So do not stop dreaming. Do not stop writing down all the ideas that come to you. My greatest example is always Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey started out as the Oprah Winfrey Show. She got good at it. She developed a brand off of the Oprah Winfrey Show, right? O Magazine, the OWN Network, all the Weight Watchers did not come until later. Yep. She took it step by step. So stop trying to have your hands in so many things, because when you have your hands in so many things, you're good at nothing. So you have to be able to break down, like, let me build a brand here. Let me build the Oprah Winfrey Show. And then from the Oprah Winfrey Show, dang, I got this many followers. I'm making this much money. Okay, I'm done with Oprah. Let me go on to the magazine. And then now let me go ahead and do my own network. So build your brand first. Build a name first. And then go ahead and expand to new ideas. But when you have so many ideas, it's not good to go all over the place. Focus on which one has the most impact for what's needed now. Understand your client and your customer and the market's pain point. Deal with that and then perfect that and then move on to next. Because that's something I think that you hear all the time. I get all the time. People all over the place, like, because I'm like that. I'm all over. I get a vision. I'm like, I'm gone with it. And it's frustrating for those around me because I'm like, catch up, let's go. And they're like, wait, can we perfect this first? So I've had to learn to sit still and turn down some stuff and say, no, let me perfect this first. And then I can move to next. So perfect what you have. Perfect who you are. John Maxwell says it best. There really are no experts, because we all learning every day. I might be an expert today, but things change. Like COVID-19 came, right? Threw all the experts out the window. Everybody's like, what do we do? What do we do? So there are no experts. You are your own expert. So just follow your passions, follow your heart, and put order to your dream and vision.
Yeah, absolutely. And one last time, for those who are considered non-essential during this time, just like you and Ryan have a non-essential business, what's the word of hope for the non-essentials coming out of this?
Focus on the future. Focus on, develop your skill. Great things grow in the dark. Seeds grow in the dark, under dirt. So this is your time to grow and to study. I've been doing all kind of studying and just preparing so that when we can finally face our clients, we're coming back with so much knowledge and new products and innovative ideas. So I definitely would say for all of you out there who just aren't working right now, in your mind say, I'll never be in this place again. I will be ready the next time.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Just to wrap it up really quickly, we are from the Youngstown Business Incubator. My name is Corey Patrick. This is Stephanie Gilchrist. She's in charge of our Women in Entrepreneurship Program. We are a free nonprofit to the community. We are here for your business resources, one-on-one business counseling, general questions about entrepreneurship. If you have an idea, we can help walk you through next steps. So make sure that you are recognizing this. Make sure you tell your friends about it. We are here for the community. We are here to help rebuild after COVID-19. We have a lot of roots in Youngstown and the Mahoning Valley. So we are here to continue that work and to really make sure that we're not just the only ones bouncing back. We want to help make sure that every small business owner is bouncing back as well.
That's right.
Our tagline is elevating every entrepreneur, and that's truly what we're striving to do. So anything that you guys need as a business owner or a potential business owner, we are here for you. So with that, we will wrap it up for today. One more note, this coming Friday, we're having a webinar, a full-blown webinar. Our accountant, Tom Metzinger, is going to lead it, and it's going to be on budgeting through a crisis. So he has created a really simple Excel spreadsheet or Google Sheet that can be adapted to any business. It's going to be really easy to follow and sort of help those small business owners who don't even have a simple budget sort of just get organized with it. So that is coming up this Friday. It will be at noon. I will post the link in the comments below. It's also available on our website, ybi.org/coronavirus. We have a bunch of resources for business owners during all of this. We list all of our upcoming webinars, and it's also available on our Facebook page. So get registered for that. It'll be about an hour long as well at noon on Friday. So with that, I've got nothing else. Stephanie, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. And catch you on the next one.